happening, folks, and welcome to the channel. I don't know about you guys, but I have read most of Stephen King's novels, including all of the crappy ones. I've also seen most of the movies based on his novels, including the crappy ones, and that makes today kind of interesting because I have neither read Sleepwalkers nor have I seen the film. Until today, that is. Which reminds me, if any of you decide to review movies on YouTube, always make sure you own a legal copy of the movie. Sleepwalkers has one of the worst imaginable ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, but apparently it's also got a decent cult following. And that kind of confused interaction with viewers puts this movie right up my alley in terms of these coding commentaries. As per usual, the only thing I know about the movie is whatever the sidebar tells me before we watch it. So it says it's directed by Mick Garris, who also directed, I think, one of the Critters movies and that really crap horror anthology, Nightmare Cinema. Directed by Stephen King, as we already know, and it stars Brian Krause, Machen Amick, and Alice Creech. The last remaining pair of a species of supernatural creatures move to a small town to seek out young virgins to feed on. That doesn't actually sound like a horror plot, it sounds like Saturday Nights. Right. Let's go, shall we? So they're half human and half cat, but a cat scratch can kill them. Wouldn't they be immune? My friend Ian nearly lost his arm because his cat scratched him. And apparently the cat scratched him because he was trying to put it into a tiny little tuxedo. But I wasn't there.
God, I just hope nothing horrible happened to them. They were so close.
Oh, the 90s. Back when you could express heartfelt concerns about a victim of criminal activity without the police officer tasing you, charging you with expressing compassion in public. Is that Mark Hamill? That is absolutely Mark Hamill. That's Luke Skywalker with a mustache. May the tash be with you. This might be history right here in front of us, folks. A cat jump scare that's actually justified, and a mummified-looking young girl with braces. Nice touch. That means the victim was either a teenager or a superficial, shallow celebrity with more money than sense. HT was unkind to so many of these older movies. That looks exactly like ketchup. Well, so he's like an aspiring stalker. That maybe he's an accomplished stalker. We don't know that yet. Johnny, stop getting ahead of yourself. Tanya, very 90s. I probably shouldn't be judging here. I have a girl's name tattooed on me. I'll never understand this. Why is it so hard for casting directors to cast kids as students? You know the little CSA you see after the casting director's names, usually in the opening credits? There are requirements to get that. You have to be semi-competent. That high school yearbook looks like a list of attendees for a real estate agent convention somewhere in Ohio. It might be a thing. Creech. One of the big reasons I've avoided this movie is that I like Alice Creech. 2020's Gretel and Hansel wasn't great, but I think that was more down to the writing. I thought she was super creepy as the witch. What did you think? Obviously, she was great as the Board Queen. She wasn't in the Texas Chainsaw remake long enough for me to have an actual opinion, but she did nail Christabella in the original Silent Hill in 2006, which is the only one worth watching. Ooh. That looked real. I just reviewed One Missed Call, and they dragged a cat into a koi pond, and that looked totally real as well. Now, obviously, the main difference, this was back in the 90s, so it probably was real. Like I said, I do love me some Alice Creech, but her American accent wasn't quite there back in the 90s. She's actually South African, for those of you who don't know. Go down the back and get us some pyrotechnics. Talking all about the pyrotechnics, and now I can't make fun of her American accent anymore. Oh, he's having a wee dance with his mum. There's no, mention of anything. Oh, good, yes. Yeah, keep dancing, please, folks. Keep dancing. Okay, so obviously they're not actually mother and son, then. They're criminals, and they're on the run, and they're posing as mother and son to throw everybody off, like Rob Lowe and Bo Derek did in Tommy Boy. Okay, so now they've put on the Purple Rain album while they're messing around, but at least we don't have to watch it. That was very kind of them. Oh, no way. Look at the price of the tickets. Are any of you old enough to remember those prices? Or $2 Tuesdays? I've been a fan of movies since I was a little kid, and as soon as I was old enough to get a job in a movie theater, I did. Photo behind her just brought back a bunch of memories. Word to the wise from somebody who worked the job for a good couple of years, unless things have completely changed, which they may very well have, don't ever eat hot dogs from a movie theater. Don't make me explain myself. Just take my word as your movie friend. Haha, Machen Amick, aka Shelley Johnson from Twin Peaks, which would have been, I guess, a couple of years before this movie. And if you don't know what Twin Peaks is, another dancing scene. Obviously, I can't play the music for you, but this soundtrack is very, very Stephen King. And up goes the creep factor, and then down goes the creep factor. He just hung around in the darkness after the movie so he could say her name out loud. Tanya. Actually, now that I think about it, that's even creepier than dragging her off into the bushes. Okay, this is actually starting to confuse me now. Maybe somebody can help me out in the comments. They're descendants of cats, but they're afraid of cats? These specific cats must be a particularly courageous breed. They don't look fazed at all by his huge feathered hair. They're really playing up this mother-son angle. He's called her mother like 10 times in the last 60 seconds, and that's making it really challenging for me to act like this isn't happening. And they're all in class together now because he's legitimately enrolled in school because... And this, to any of you younger viewers, is what pornography looked like before the internet existed. And that's Glenn Shaddix, aka Otto from Beetlejuice. This would have been a few years before it. He's dead. He died about a decade ago, I think. And it was in the worst imaginable way. I'll edit this out if I'm wrong, but I believe he broke his ankle filming a movie. The surgery left him with like permanent mobility issues. One day he was alone in his apartment, tripped, and smacked his head off a kitchen counter. Very, very funny man. Rest in peace, Glenn Shaddix. What the hell was that? He's never met her friends before, and he's nice enough to offer them a ride home. That's a bit excessive of her, isn't it? Wait a second, the first time they've ever hung out with each other, it's the first time he's been to her house, and they go straight to her bedroom. Maybe her friend's not being excessive at all, maybe she just knows her really well. If that was my mother and my sister at the same age, Charming Charles would have been dragged down the lovely carpeted steps by his charming balls. So if I understand this properly, Charles embarrassed Otto from Beetlejuice earlier in the classroom by pointing out a box has 6 sides instead of 4.
A box has 4 sides.
Actually, Mr. Fallows, a box has 6 sides.
So Otto from Beetlejuice is retaliating by following him home to bust him about who he is and where he's from because apparently his school records are fake. Yes! And he pulled his hand off. That was one hell of a special effect. At the end of the 80s and early 90s, obviously, that computer morphing thing was huge. Most famously done in this video. Apparently it took a room full of computers hours to pull off one morph, and now any idiot can do it on their phones. Is it just me, or is he better looking as the cat thing? I don't know this actor's name, but I feel like every time I've seen him, he's been a cop. And what do you know, he has a cat. Do you think it'll play a role in bringing about the end to our antagonists? So, that, my friends, is the first car I ever owned. It's a Dodge Diplomat, and I traded a lawnmower for it, and that is a totally true story. For all those people that constantly go on about animals being incredible, this cat can't act, and he's the lead cat. He's looking right into the camera. I bet you they docked his wages for that, unless the cats are unionized. Holy shit. What the hell was that? Apart from them getting as much mileage out of the morphing effect as humanly possible, guessing he's just cycled through his various identities and one of them's a baby? Nice. They're not messing around. He can make his Hot Wheels car disappear too. Not bad for a half-cat baby with feathered hair. So when he's cloaked, Clovis the cat can still see him, apparently. Either that, or they had to write it into the script because Clovis, the shitty actor, wouldn't stop looking into the camera. So instead of driving around a town with a population of like 40 people in a flashy blue convertible, his plan going forward is to drive around a town with a population of 40 people in a flashy red convertible. All those supernatural abilities, and he didn't even morph his hair into a different shape. He He doesn't even need supernatural powers for that part of the disguise. He can do it with a comb. I've calmed down now. So he's terrified of cats, but he doesn't think a thing of marching into the house with all those candles going while he's got 4 bottles of hairspray in his hair. Mommy's angry. That's a decent effect, even for nowadays, compared to half the shit they pass off as CGI. Why is she so angry he hasn't fed her? Can she not go out herself? Maybe he should have just brought her back a big whack of Otto from Beetlejuice's thigh in a doggy bag, because they've got problems with cats. Hang on a second.
You'll feed tomorrow, and then you'll feed me, and then we'll leave.
What the hell does that even mean? Would he have to regurgitate Otto from Beetlejuice's thigh into her mouth like a bird? For any of you at home who are unfamiliar with the act of actively repressing your feelings, notice that the regurgitation concept is grossing me out while my face goes completely blank at the idea of him making out with his mom a few minutes ago. There's so many cat actors. Do you think they're like a group you can hire? Like the way they did with the Wizard of Oz with all the... What do you think it's like for a director having to work with cats? Listen, I'm just not feeling it. Your meow, it's like you're dialing it in. We stocked your trailer with cases and cases of that Purina salmon stuff your agent insisted on. There's like 100 other cats here dying for your speaking role. Let's do it again with some feeling, okay? Cat Winslet? Leonardo DiCaprio, Cat Blanchett, Sophie Loren, Diane Catton, James Catney, Cataly Portman, Catwick Boseman, Catty Bates, Joaquin Feline, Kevin Katner, Cat Eastwood, Cat Basinger, Harvey Keitel, Kathleen Turner, Burt Lancaster, Buster Catton, Gary Oldcat, Cat Damon, Michael Catbender, Patricia Arquette, Cat Russell, Jake Gyllencat, Benedict Cumbercat, Helena Bonham Carter, Dakota Fanning, Rachel McCatums, Jamie Lee Curtis, Cat Beckinsale, Hugh Catman, Dwayne the Cat Johnson, Catty Holmes, Cat Galifianakis, William Katner, Robert Cattinson, James Cattlefini, Matthew McConaughey, Michael J. Cat, Chow Yun Cat, Lindsay Locat, Sarah Jessica Cat Parker, Pete Postel Cat, Jada Pink Cat Smith, Cat Bosworth, Cat T. Nelson, Catrick Stewart, Macaulay Catkin. My apologies. That was unexpected. That's just excessive and unnecessary. They told us 427 times they're mother and son, and we've had to watch them make out to Purple Rain, and now they've sprayed them down with water bottles so we can watch naked, sweaty family stuff. Very subtle. I thought cats didn't like spray bottles. Plot hole. Aw, Tanya's going on a picnic. Do people do that anymore? Is that still a thing? I guess Charles is part cat. He's looking right into the camera now, too. Hi, I'm Tanya. It's lovely to finally meet you. Your 3,000 cats are lovely. What are their names? Tanya's written as the innocent virgin in this story, but she brought him straight to her bedroom immediately, and now she wants to mess around in a graveyard. My kind of girl. Seriously. Aw, Charles is conflicted. He wants to feed her to mommy, but he also wants to eat her himself. Apparently. Sorry. Go Charles. Now that was a smooth move. Never mind the old throw your arm around her in a movie theater. Just latch onto her and fling the both of you down a hill. Now he's hesitant. Careful there, Tanya. I do have feelings for you, but I don't want you breaking my hair. Whoever said Stephen King ran out of ideas after Pet Sematary in 1985 clearly has no idea what they're talking about. You guys can't hear it, but the police officer's singing a song that scarred me as a kid, and I haven't heard it for years. Everyone used to sing it when I'd come into the classroom, or walk into the gym, or dive into the pool. I never understood the purpose of the song, and I still don't. Yeah, my name was Johnny. That part was true. At that age, I hadn't even seen a horse in real life, so I definitely wasn't heading off to the rodeo at the weekends. I have no idea what a one-ball man is. And I definitely never had in my hand. But they sang it anyway. And it was relentless.
Well, here comes Johnny with a specker in his hand. He's a one-ball man, he's off to the rodeo.
Why Why the hell did his car switch back? Doesn't that defeat the entire purpose of cloaking it? That was completely stupid. Why didn't you empty the gun on him? You deserve to die. Imagine that nowadays. Clovis to the rescue. Surprise, surprise. And if we slow things down here just a little bit, you'll see Charles wrestling with a stuffed cat and a stick with the cat's leg on the end of it.
My face is so hot.
See? He thinks he's better looking with the makeup on too. Stephen King, of course. The M. Night Shyamalan of the 1980s in terms of selfless cameos in his own movies. I think he's appeared in 12 or 13 of his own stories, and to be honest, for the most part, he seems alright in terms of spitting out a line or two of dialogue and not looking too much like a cardboard cutout of himself. The poor girl's just suffered a violent assault at the hands of a man, so the 1990s cops feel her up literally every second between the two cop cars. Look. Now I know you've just suffered tremendous trauma at the hands of that man, so I'm gonna keep my hands on you the entire time I'm talking, and as soon as I'm done, I'm gonna encourage this other guy to put his hands on you too, because getting in and out of cars is difficult when you're a girl. Count yourself lucky he didn't kiss you and he sat you down, Tanya. All kidding aside for 1 second, if anybody could explain this little gem of a scene to me in the comments section, I would be really grateful.
Do her parents know a Class 1 assault did not occur?
You mean do they know she managed to avoid being raped by the bastard? Yes.
Okay.
What the fuck was that? These cats are starting to piss me off. They are seriously amateur. Looking into the camera, looking into the camera, looking into the camera.
Drink some of this nice cold water. It'll make you feel better.
Really? Gee whiz, Mom. I don't know. I watch a lot of hospital soap operas, and I don't think I've ever seen them treat a ripped-out eyeball with a bottle of cold Evian. I'll say one thing, and this is a compliment. Schlocky movies like this, especially from 20, 30 years ago, on paper are ridiculous, but the main characters are playing it totally straight, and that's a huge factor when you're working with this kind of material. The movie would completely fall down in the first act if you treated it any other way. No way! Hellboy! Ron frickin' Perlman, the missing link. If you haven't seen it already, check out Quest for Fire. It's a caveman movie, and all the other caveman actors were plastered in prosthetics and stuff to build up their foreheads to make them look Neanderthal. But Ron Perlman was just wearing a wig. That's a friggin' cranium right there. Wow. So Mama made them both vanish, and while the cops are checking the place out, they gave us another scene I'm gonna need somebody to explain to me.
He killed one of my men.
All you got is one hysterical little girl with a very vivid imagination. That little girl needs a good smack on the butt. I'll happily volunteer.
Just to summarize, Tanya was attacked. She provided photographic evidence and a description of somebody the police were already looking into for the previous car incident. So Neanderthal Ron Perlman suggests she needs a good smack in the ass.
This is the best meal I had since my wife passed on.
It's the best meal he's had since his wife passed away. There's a bit of boiled corn on his plate and some dry Wonder Bread. What does he normally eat at home?
She's been up there an awfully long time. Your mother's keeping supper warm for you.
What the fuck is with this corn? I know you're in the bath trying to repress a pretty vicious case of post-traumatic stress, darling, but could you please hurry up? Mom boiled some corn. And there's some Wonder Bread. You've got years to get over this horrific event, but the corn's gonna get cold. I'm calmed down again. So Mama's going on a revenge rampage now, and she starts off with the Three Stooges gag, again, with a totally straight face, and I think it's fantastic. Wow. Daddy went down with a laceration to the cheek. I think I've done worse than that shaving. He's supposed to be protecting his family, and this was way before it was nearly illegal to be masculine. Gomer Pyle's even worse. For a trained cop, I bet you one of the cats would have done better with his gun. Why the hell is John Landis in this movie? I'm gonna have to read up on this after the review. Yes, she killed him with corn. I think I might love this movie. If I could learn to pretend hard enough, they're not really mother and son, I guess. I have only ever seen that in one other movie. No way! That's not a bad special effect either. After biting his fingers off, she broke his arm and beat him with it. Ah, the magic 1990s bullets. Twice! It's usually Mel Gibson or Bruce Willis firing those off, so she must have borrowed them. Brilliant. Sincerely excellent, reanimating the body of her alien cat baby person son and forcing the girl who dumped him to dance with it. That's horror, folks. Hold on a second. Is it just me? That is Ron Perlman too. It's like one of those things where if you add up all the stones used to make the pyramids and divide them by the number of bits of sand around the base, you end up with looking at the camera, looking at the camera, looking at the camera, looking at the camera. See what I mean about the acting? That trap only closed over about halfway. It barely touched him, and he played it off like a World Cup soccer champion. And in the end, the company of cats saves the day, and Mom catches on fire, and then Michael Myers also catches on fire next to the propped-up mannequin of the dead cop. And then Clovis comes back, and he finally manages to do an entire scene without looking into the... fuck. Never mind. There you have it, folks. Sleepwalkers. I'm not sure what I was expecting there, maybe something closer to the 1990 It series with Tim Curry, but it was very 90s. It was also very original, and with the exception of the bits that I'm trying to actively block out, I think I liked it. And ultimately, this teaches us we all appreciate different things about movies, and we all deal with trauma in our own special ways. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, folks.
Well, here comes Johnny with a specker in his hand. He's a one-ball man, he's off to the rodeo.
It's me, Johnny, from that video you just loved. And I know you loved it because you're still here. And seeing as you are still here, you should probably go down there and smash me in the face to subscribe. And seeing as you just smashed me in the face, you should probably do something nice to make up for it, like maybe watching this next video. Do it!